The quiet hum of the refrigerator is the only sound in the kitchen at 11:14 p.m. A single glass of seltzer, its bubbles long gone, sits on the counter beside a phone. You tap the screen, holding your thumb over the little red grid of the social media icon. It shakes for a second, then disappears with a tiny, dry click of the glass screen. There is a sudden, clean quiet that fills the room, like stepping out of a crowded train. You put the phone face down on the wood and take a slow drink of the flat water. For 20 minutes, the silence feels like an achievement. You walk to the bedroom, feeling lighter, convinced that tonight is the night things finally change. The air in the hallway feels different, almost crisp, as if a physical weight has been lifted. You slide under the sheets, prop your head against the pillow, and stare at the ceiling. But the stillness doesn't stay quiet. It begins to expand, stretching out until the bedroom feels too large. Your hand reaches for the nightstand without you fully deciding to move it. The screen lights up your face, a blank slate where the familiar, colorful grid used to live. You open the App Store. You type the first 3 letters of the name you just erased. The cloud icon appears, waiting for a touch to bring it all back. The download takes less than 12 seconds over the home internet. When the progress wheel completes its circle, you open the application and log back in. The feed is exactly as you left it, the same faces, the same arguments, the same blue light. Nothing has changed, except the quiet triumph of 20 minutes ago has evaporated. The sudden deletion of the application is rarely a rational decision about time management or productivity. It is an emotional boundary drawn in a moment of exhaustion, a sudden, desperate attempt to build a wall against the world. When the weight of endless voices becomes too heavy, the immediate reaction is to purge the container itself. Deleting the program feels like a clean break, a way to declare to yourself that you are still in control of your attention. But when you delete the gate, the underlying restlessness that drove you to scroll in the first place remains untouched. The empty screen does not cure the loneliness. It simply removes the mirror that was reflecting it back to you. Without the feed to look at, the quiet room becomes a theater of your own thoughts, and the silence begins to feel cold. The urge to reinstall is often much stronger than the initial impulse to walk away because the stillness is so unfamiliar. The return is not about wanting to see what is happening out there in the world of updates and notifications. It is a search for a familiar shelter, a way to escape the sudden, demanding vacuum of your own mind. When you pull the plug, the sudden absence of constant stimulation triggers a quiet, subconscious alarm in the brain. The mind, which has grown used to a steady stream of quick rewards, suddenly finds itself stranded in a quiet room. People who study these habits have noticed that stepping away from your devices does not immediately make you feel peaceful. Instead, the sudden abstinence causes a sharp rise in internal tension, a craving that peaks shortly after you disconnect. You pick up the phone to check for updates, not because you expect anything new, but because the physical action of checking keeps you grounded. This midnight return is not a personal failure of willpower, though it feels incredibly disappointing when the screen lights up again. It is a predictable biological reaction to a sudden drop in cognitive feedback, a search for a rhythm you understand. When the screen is empty, you are forced to look at the raw, unedited materials of your own evening. You notice the small paperback book on the nightstand, still open to page 84, where it has sat since April. You haven't touched those pages in months, yet you spent 40 minutes tonight erasing and restoring a digital world. The book is a quiet reminder of the person you thought you would be when you deleted the program. You mistake the device for the obstacle, believing that if we banish the screen, you will automatically become your best self. But the screen is often just a lid you keep on top of a deeper, unresolved hesitation. When you lift the lid, the hesitation does not disappear. It simply rises to fill the quiet spaces of the house. The decision to erase the application is an attempt to force a personal transformation from the outside in. It is like moving the heavy furniture to a different corner of the room, hoping the new arrangement makes you happy. The difficulty is that when you sit down in the new space, you are still carrying the exact same thoughts. Uninstalling the program is a performance you put on for yourself, a brief, dramatic proof that you care about your life. You want to experience the clean, sharp edge of a real choice, even if that choice only lasts for 20 minutes. But genuine growth is rarely sharp. It is slow, quiet, and often feels incredibly boring to live through. It looks like sitting with the discomfort of having absolutely nothing to do at 11:14 p.m. It means letting the silence stretch across the blanket without trying to fill it with another download. When you reinstall the program before the sun comes up, you are quietly ending the performance. You are admitting that the empty bedroom was too heavy to carry on your own, and that is not something to be ashamed of. The return is a relief, but it is also a quiet surrender to a habit that has worn a deep groove in your day. The groove is comforting, even when it leaves you feeling tired and frustrated with yourself. It is much easier to slide back into the familiar rhythm than to stand in the quiet kitchen and wonder what you are running from. You live in a world that constantly demands your presence, yet offers very little guidance on how to be alone. You are trying to balance two opposing needs, the need for quiet and the need for connection. The app is a bridge to other people, however superficial that bridge might feel. The midnight download is a clumsy attempt to rebuild the bridge before the night gets too cold. It is an acknowledgement that you are not quite ready for the complete silence of your own thoughts. And perhaps that is okay. The mistake is not the return. The mistake is believing that the deletion was the cure. True agency does not come from a midnight gesture of erasure. It comes from a slow change in how you relate to the screen when it is open. It is the ability to look at the feed and decide, without anger, to put the device face down on the kitchen counter. You lock the screen, hearing that dry click once more, and leave it there beside the flat seltzer water. The quiet kitchen is still there, unhurried, waiting in the dark. You walk back to bed, leaving the nightstand empty, and let the evening finish its work. Subscribe if you want to look closer at what is running underneath these small, silent choices. Perhaps you can learn to notice the grooves before you slide into them. Until next time, sleep well.